Halloween originated with a big, drunken tax day. The most direct predecessor of Halloween is the Celtic Samhain, which had a lot going on, relatively speaking. It was a harvest celebration, a time to slaughter cattle for the coming winter and get drunk, which was apparently a rare occurrence back then. Since it was somewhat like a New Year celebration for the Celts, it also had an administrative purpose. People paid their taxes. Some warriors would even try to pawn off ox tongues as battle trophies instead. A few of the Samhain traditions survive in a recognizable form, like apple bobbing, while others did not quite make the cut, such as executing criminals. The Roman Halloween involved feeding beans to ghosts. Aside from Samhain, the other day from which Halloween took its cues was Lemuria, or the Lemuralia, a day in which the ancient Romans attempted to placate their ancestors' ghosts, or lemures, with a ceremony that involved taking off their shoes, cleaning their hands, and throwing beans all over the house. As the head of the family wandered around getting beans everywhere, the rest of the family followed the head around banging pots and pans together, hopefully expelling the ancestor ghosts. The whole month was thought to be unlucky, which is probably one of the reasons May was and is considered an inauspicious month for weddings. Eventually, Christianity adopted Lemuria as a day sacred to all the martyrs, then finally moved it to November 1, All Saints' Day. The oldest Halloween traditions involved crossdressing. Dressing up as something else has remained central to Halloween since its inception. The Celts blackened their faces and wore animal skins as costumes. In some cases, they would carry a horse's skull or a wooden horse head with working mechanical jaws on a pole. Keeping with the general Samhain theme of inversion and disorder, the usual social order was turned upside down. Men could disrespect their elders, and gender norms could be ignored. The most obvious reflection of this was dressing up as the opposite sex. In Wales specifically, young men dressed in women's clothes and were referred to as Drachod or witches. Halloween was once overseen by a lord of Misrule, also known as the Abbot of Unreason in Scotland. The Lord of Misrule was appointed on All Hallows' Eve for the upcoming Christmas season, again reflecting a time of year when everything was upside down and backward. He was essentially an official jester tasked with overseeing celebrations and being ridiculous. This whole commoner as king concept goes back to the Roman Saturnalia, a holiday that flipped the script on all of the usual social mores. For example, masters dined with their slaves, gambling was encouraged for a day, and everybody got as drunk as possible. Saturnalia shares similarities with Babylonian mock king celebrations, though these were not quite as fun. The fake king got to live like royalty for 5 days and was then scourged and executed. Witches are associated with Halloween because of a massive execution. The friction between Christianity and pagan traditions has influenced Halloween since the beginning, but one event helped link Halloween and witches specifically. In 1589, King James VI sailed across the North Atlantic to retrieve Anne of Denmark. On the return trip to Scotland, the king's ship faced storms so turbulent that it was forced to turn back. Naturally, everyone concluded that witches caused the disturbances. More specifically, they concluded that the devil himself had appeared in North Berwick on Halloween in 1590 and instructed a bunch of witches to recite spells and fling a cat into the water till a storm killed the king. This ingenious plan is only attested by the confessions of the dozens of people who were poorly treated until they admitted to colluding with the devil in the North Barrack Church. In the end, over 100 people were arrested and hundreds or thousands would be similarly detained and executed for witchcraft in subsequent years.
We owe some Halloween symbology to mosquitoes, perhaps.
Most Halloween symbols have an apparent origin. Black cats, for example, were thought to be witches' familiars or shape-shifted witches themselves, going back to the Middle Ages. Spiders are so innately threatening that even babies who don't properly understand what they are can recognize their shapes. Bats, on the other hand, and their association with Halloween are a bit of a mystery. One theory is that Samhain, a festival that involved lots of bonfires, might have attracted a lot of flying insects, which in turn attracted hungry bats. It's also possible that there's no logical progression to the image at all, and that October happens to be a month when bats are everywhere in the northeastern United States at least.
Shakespeare mocks trick-or-treaters in The Two Gentlemen of Verona.
Well, more accurately, he mocks the early predecessors to trick-or-treaters. In The Two Gentlemen of Verona, Valentine's servant, Speed, teases him for his lovesickness, saying that Valentine has started to sigh like a schoolboy, to watch like one that fears robbing, to speak puling whining, like a beggar at Hallowmas. The comparison to a whining Hallowmas beggar is a reference to the medieval custom of souling, which involved traveling door to door on All Hallows Eve and either singing for the homeowner or praying for their family. The compensation for the beggar's prayers was supposed to be a soul cake, a cake topped with a cross design and sweetened with molasses, nutmeg, raisins, or cinnamon. The tradition still exists in Portugal as pau por Deus, bread in the name of God, when children go from house to house reciting rhymes, return for bread or sweets.
Halloween integrates existing customs, from hiding knives to eating skeleton candy.
Germans take care throughout All Souls' Week to hide their knives from ghosts. In Eastern Europe, which includes Poland, Slovakia, and the Czech Republic, All Souls' Day involves leaving doors open and placing empty chairs by the hearth for the ghosts of one's ancestors. Mexico celebrates Dia de los Muertos, or Day of the Dead, a fusion of a pre-Columbian Aztec festival honoring the goddess Mictlantecuhtli and Catholic beliefs brought by the conquistadors. Dia de los Muertos presupposes that the dead would be honored more by revelry than grief, and the holiday focuses on feasting, drinking, and celebration. It is also one of the only situations in which you will see a procession of cheerful, upper-class lady skeletons.
Anoka, Minnesota, was home to the first citywide Halloween celebration.
A city in the southern part of Minnesota, Anoka is one of the first American towns to distract roving youths from Halloween mischief with an organized celebration. A citywide parade was first organized in 1920, at which time Halloween wasn't as organized as it is today. There wasn't any recognizable trick-or-treating in America at that point, for example. The event grew to include fireworks, races, pillow fights, and other festivities. It hosted 20,000 spectators, an amount higher than the population of the town in the 1930s. These days, the parade attracts double that number and lasts 2 hours.
World War Roman II canceled Halloween.
World War Roman II canceled Halloween.
Halloween was ideal for women to spell their future husband's name with apples.
Halloween was ideal for women to spell their future husband's name with apples.
Jack-o'-lanterns were originally carved from turnips.
Jack-o'-lanterns were originally carved from turnips. At one time, Halloween simply involved blowing stuff up. The Irish and Scottish for having a recognizable Halloween in America.
Hey guys, thank you so much for the support and likes and comments down below, and also thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to see you in the next video. Then take care, bye.